Last time on Sailing Garuda.
Oh, it's like another world.
Going through the washing machine.
Whoa. The dinghy was gone. I mean, gone. Oh my goodness. I'm Herb, and this is Heather. We're post-career empty nesters who found the next phase of our lives lacking. Inspired by other YouTubers, we bought a small fixer-upper sailboat and spent 2 years building her into our traveling home. Now we're about to find out if it was all worthwhile. Subscribe and come along on our next adventure as we set sails to rediscover what's really necessary to live a meaningful life.
To myself, away from things I let go, floating on the waves. We go bottoms up, we go all the way when you're feeling down.
All right, give it to us straight. What's going on?
Well, we're having some outboard struggles. Actually, the outboard began to show kind of some signs of trouble back in Spanish Wells, and the symptoms were we would kind of get up to speed. It would flatten out a little as far as power would go, and then it would cough some and end up dying, and we'd have to restart it to keep going again. But it really became more noticeable the other day when we were going inland on the Mangrove Creek over to the washing machine. Really, it was the ocean part of that, you know, getting to the creek. But here's the symptoms. I'll give them to you. You can leave me a comment if any of this makes sense to you. But what happens is we throttle up. The throttle gets to, I don't know, a third or so, I would say, and anything more past that, we just don't really get any additional power. But if I leave the throttle kind of open, it doesn't have to be full, but, you know, I leave it beyond that, every so often, it's like it rectifies itself and kicks us, you know, it shoots us forward, kicks us up to speed. But it only lasts for a few minutes, then it will die back down, and eventually the engine will die altogether. We have to restart and keep going. So, anyway, if that makes sense to you, certainly fill us in. From our standpoint, we just started with the things that were most obvious. So we took off the air filter and we took off the carburetor and gave everything a good clean. And along the way, we noticed a couple other issues.
Well, the fuel line's on with a zip tie.
It's on with a zip tie?
Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
Not actually certain the fuel line was the right size either, but it seemed to be delivering fuel, so that was okay. The fuel filter had been bypassed altogether, so we were just going from fuel tank to like hand pump direct into the engine or into the carburetor in order to power. And after cleaning all of that, reassembling everything, you know, we gave it a run.
Well, I got scared. I had to put the wrist strap on. That thing took off on me. I don't think I've ever gone that fast in this dinghy. Scared the crap out of me. It's like, whoa, I think we'll put the wrist strap on for the ride back.
Did it perform the way you...
Well, I don't even know.
Oh, that's why
Like, did it do
somebody
what
thought
you wanted
yesterday.
it to do, or did it have a mind of its own?
Better, but not great. And when we got up the next morning to try to go snorkeling, man, all those problems just returned with a vengeance. Now, in fact, we're getting a little bit of fuel and oil getting discharged into the water.
Well, we were on our way to snorkel the grotto, but then we started having outboard issues again, so now we're back to the boat, working on the outboard.
Chokes out of gas.
So it feels like a fuel issue to us. Since we had started with a clean carburetor, we just backtracked, just going kind of one component at a time all the way back to the fuel tank to see if there was something that was interrupting the flow. But we didn't find anything. In fact, the only thing that was kind of obvious is we were in over our heads and the outboard really isn't running.
Well, how do you feel about today? How was your day?
terrible. That's the kind of thing that impacts what we do from here, so we got to regroup and figure out what we're doing. Without a dinghy, we have a lot of problems.
We're disappointed.
As bad as that felt and sounded, it turns out things were only going to get worse. So when we woke up this morning, the dinghy was gone. I mean, gone.
This is where our dinghy should be, as you've seen it before, but looks like she came untied.
So after a brief period of just freaking out because we didn't have a dinghy, I mean, we had the binoculars out, we're like scanning the horizon, we're looking on shore, we're thinking maybe, you know, maybe it had just recently departed, I don't know. Anyway, we began to kind of come to terms with the fact that we were going to need a little help. So we we're starting to organize, at least, folks. We were going to get on the VHF and try to get a search party going, and that's when we heard that someone had found a dinghy. So as it turns out, like 2 or 3 of us lost a dinghy last night. Anyway, ours had been recovered at sea and towed back to Compass Key. So Compass Key is like 7 miles back up to the north, and while we could get there, it would take us a while. We're not actually prepared to sail, so it would take us a little bit to kind of get together, but it's also not the easiest of approaches. So what we're trying to do is organize a boat and captain or something we can rent to run up and get it as quickly as we can, and you know, at least recover it and get it back to the boat. So, you know, with no outboard running, I got to tow it back as well. So I don't know. Anyway, the adventure continues.
Here comes my ride. All right, headed out on the rescue mission. Yeah, it's not a sailboat. I think I'll sit down. Yeah, you're good. First half of the rescue mission accomplished. That dinghy. Middle of the night, and looks like we got a storm coming in. This will show where we are on the anchor. It looks like the worst has already come across. I probably should have filmed it. I tried to get a little bit of it, but it's pretty hard to see anything in the dark. You could absolutely hear it though. There's nothing like thunder at sea. But we got one boat, it looks like in the anchorage. He's talking to us on VHF, which is a good sign. Dragging a little bit, it's got his engines running. He went black though. We're suspecting he's the one that got hit by lightning, but people are alerting on the radio, so I thought that it was behind us though.
Well, we might have been turned a different direction.
I don't know that we've come back around. Oh, a little bit.
There was a lot of lightning.
Maybe so. Maybe it was that close. But I mean, that's got to be what, it's 2 boats over. So that, I mean, that's got to be 100 yards, I would say, tops. I mean, there's 40, 50 boats in here right now too. So it's a potluck. Maybe we already used our bad luck on the dinghy. But I can't even get to help anybody right now because I don't have an operating dinghy. So we're just going to keep monitoring. Another anchor watch. Although I think this thunderstorm now is through us. All of this action has been taking place just offshore Big Major Key, an anchorage that neighbors Staniel Key, a small but tourist-popular island that lies roughly 75 miles south of Nassau or 250 miles southeast of Florida. It's kind of a small joint, less than 2 square miles in area, and has a population of less than 100 full-time residents. There's a church, a post office, a laundromat that sells liquor, 2 grocery stores, a library, several retail shops, and a marine supply store. But the landmark here is the legendary Staniel Key Yacht Club. Established in 1956, the Staniel Key Yacht Club has long been a destination for cruisers. There's an 18-slip marina here with a fuel dock, gift and liquor shop, and a cruiser clubhouse with a large restaurant and a casual island bar. This place is so popular, we've known folks that have undergone entire boat refits with the goal of someday reaching Staniel Key. There's also 14 bungalows for travelers in need of a home port while exploring the central Exumas. Why, you might ask, is this location so famous? Well, because everything that is quintessentially Bahamas can be found nearby. We're dinghy-less, as you've no doubt noticed, and a bit tired of not being able to do everything we'd hoped to while in the Exumas or hiding from wind. So we've decided to rent a fast boat and a guide to show you the Exuma highlight reel, and we're going to do it all in one day. We'll start with some of the natives, the black iguana and the ever-present nurse shark. Bitter Iguana Key hosts a colony of the rare black iguanas, also called the northern Bahamian rock iguana, or the Bahamian dragon. They're actually black and pink, and they're generally herbivores, although they have been known to eat an occasional dead crab or bird. Unlike other iguanas, these guys can grow over 4 feet, and they're a bit social living together in this colony. They can live up to 40 years, and they reach their sexual maturity around 6 to 9, with females laying a dozen eggs in early summer. Of course, they don't all make it, and some of the adults are still lost to illegal hunting, so their numbers are dwindling. Still, this is the only place this tribe exists, and how these iguanas came to be here and only here is a mystery. Unfortunately, they're now among the most endangered lizards on Earth. Compared to the iguana, the nurse shark appears downright lovable. Admittedly, we see these creatures almost every day. But hey, it's tourist day in the Exumas, and here we are, back at Compass Key with literally boatloads of people paying per head to get in the water and feed these adolescents. What I love about nurse sharks is they're notorious nappers. They don't have to stay moving in order to breathe, and you'll often find them just snoozing on the bottom during the day. They have a distinctive look with narrow exotic eyes and 2 mustache-like barbels between their nostrils, which they use to find food. They don't have those classic big shark-like teeth. Their mouths are filled with small serrated teeth for crushing hard-shell prey, but they could definitely do some damage if they decided to. The adults grow to be between 6 and 9 feet, and they live 25 years. Despite their large size and generally same expression, I still think they look like puppies. Okay, I know what you're waiting for. With the iguanas and sharks checked off the list, it's time for the big Exuma headliner, the swimming pigs. Look at those ears. Come on, fellas. You simply cannot escape the Bahamian swimming pigs. Their photos are on everything. What? Postcards, shirts, hats, mugs, beach towels. Their image is just everywhere. Oh, what's going on, little ones, huh? The pigs aren't native. In fact, we have no idea how these pigs got here. Some say they were left by a group of sailors who planned to come back and cook them, or that the pigs swam over from a shipwreck nearby. However they got here, they're certainly living their best life. Sand, sun, fresh water springs, and an endless supply of veggies and table scraps supplied by the tourists.
I know, it sounds super touristy, and I was prepared not to like this very much, but I gotta say, I really enjoyed this stop. It's just crazy enough to keep you smiling.
Oh, you're making a lot of noises. I know. I don't have anything for you, little one. You got a good friend here. Leaning in. I'm glad we stopped and did this. I can understand why it's a big draw here in the Bahamas. So this is the original Staniel Key. We're actually on Big Major. We're anchored right offshore. This is where we've been for a couple of days, kind of riding out that storm. But this is the infamous Pig Beach, the original home, or the original swimming pigs here in the Bahamas. The only competition in Exuma for the wildlife is, well, boat life. Social gatherings that frequently take place on the sandbars. Now, we're on a bit of a mission today, so we're foregoing the sun tanning, the food on the grill, beach music, and boat drinks. But still, this water, this view. At moments like this, the Exumas are a world away from everything. All right, tell us your name.
I'm Ronnie.
And who do you work for?
Staniel Key Adventures.
Nice. So Ronnie was the captain that was part of the Great Dinghy Rescue Mission yesterday, right?
Yep.
We covered some ground, or some water, however. But we had such a good time, we just decided, like, we got to come back the next day and spend the day seeing different stuff. So, when in Staniel, check out Staniel Key Adventures. Just beyond the sandbars lie the Gin Clear Shallows, where kayaking, paddleboarding, and snorkeling take you further away with every stroke. We've stopped to explore a plane wreck, a somewhat common occurrence here from the days when Pablo Escobar owned Norman's Cay. Don't worry, with the villain's lair nearby, an iconic hero mustn't be too far away.
Bond. James Bond.
Located just off Staniel Key lies the underwater cave of Thunderball Grotto, a setting so dramatic it has appeared in not one but two James Bond movies, 1965's Thunderball and 1983's Never Say Never Again. This grotto is so silver screen worthy, it was also featured in Ron Howard's Splash starring Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah, and Into the Blue starring Jessica Alba and Paul Walker. But it was James Bond that left an indelible mark, a namesake, ensuring that the two will forever be intertwined. One of the features that I enjoyed the most, although it was definitely difficult to capture on camera, is the sunlight that enters through holes in the ceiling and reflects off the water, creating a kaleidoscope effect on the walls. There's also quite a bit of coral, especially near the entrance, and an impressive variety of reef fish. We saw yellow-tailed snappers, barjacks, sergeant majors, and angelfish, just to name a few. The current here can be notable, so you should plan your visit at slack tide, low tide in fact if you're swimming or snorkeling, as the entrance to the grotto are typically underwater. And be warned, this place is popular, so you'll be sharing the experience with many others. Still, no visit to Staniel Key would be complete without experiencing Thunderball Grotto.
What a week.
What a week.
Our poor dinghy.
I know, the dinghy had quite an adventure, kind of on its own.
Yeah, without us.
Yeah, exactly. What did you think about, like, doing all of the Exumas in one day?
It's a lot to do in one day.
Yeah.
You're definitely tired at the end of the day, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I love the grotto.
Me too. Yeah, that was really cool. Definitely a highlight. And the pigs.
And the pigs,
I think so, on the thing. Not what I was expecting. So,
and the sharks.
It was all great. Anyway, we hope you've enjoyed getting to see some of that stuff. Probably more than we would have done had we had an operational dinghy. We certainly wouldn't have done it in one day, but it was very cool to be able to go do those things, and we definitely hope that you enjoyed it. And since you stuck around to the end, listen, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We really enjoy seeing you guys week after week. So in any case, we will see you again next time. Next time on Sailing Garuda,
Got nothing where the chart's supposed to be.
we continue our path south through the Exumas, visit David Copperfield's Mermaid Piano,
and discover a secret Nazi submarine base. We get some footage of feeding the pig.